is kind of nice. It's kind of a private space, even. There's not a lot of tenants left in the building. Funnily enough. Hi everyone, and thanks for tuning in. I want to sit down and sort of chat with you about the current events because I think that it's gotten us to a point of paralyzation that is unspoken of in human history. I think that we're just about to enter a historically challenging time, not only for humanity but for in so many different ways. It's really not simple at all. And so right now, I'm in Seattle. There's a curfew. I cannot go out into the street right now, so I decided to come up to my rooftop. I like to come up to the rooftop every so often. Check that out, right? Check the view. You're probably gonna enjoy this. Check this out, right? It's very nice. Very, very soothing, isn't it? So there's So I think that all of the tensions that stemmed up from all of those cases of police brutality are totally understandable because it is outrageous that that situation happened. And the reaction was to be expected, of course. I applaud everybody who came out and protested because yes, it is definitely not proper that we are in situations of police brutality and that it is so common and that to a certain point it's even accepted. There's definitely a lot of work to be done on that front for sure. But at the same time, I also think that what is that? I've been hearing a lot of sirens these days, so I guess that's another one of them. So I think that the origin behind all of this tension is because people have a lot of unconscious tension. I believe in unconscious mind. I believe that one is supposed to control their unconscious mind, otherwise it will take control of you. And all of the violence and all of the protests that we saw are stem from people reacting to their frustration to because maybe they are in a very bad place in life, maybe they are in a very bad place economically, and maybe they're maybe they're victims of police brutality themselves, or so many other situations that make things ever so complicated. So the reason why I think that happens that is because most people just live in isolation these days. They just live keeping to themselves, never really going out of their comfort zone, never really having to interface with other people or interact with other people. And in a lot of ways, the modern lifestyle is complicit to that. The modern lifestyle enables that. It literally, pretty much every advantage that people will get from back in the day, from living in a community, you can get an emulation of that or an equivalent of that just literally by buying into whichever random goods and services you are catered to. People cater to you with these days. People don't even really need to socialize anymore because, chemically speaking, you can get a bit of the same kind of kick, not completely the same kind of response, but a lot of it from social media, which is more efficient, it's faster, it's available everywhere since everybody's connected to the network at all times. And I think that the conjunction of all of this, of all of the inequality and the problems out there in the open, and how everyone got fed up with so many things at the same time. You got people coming out of a pandemic, which kept everyone indoors for months on end. I've been indoors since January, actually. So I think that the conjunction of all of that was the spark that just blew everything up. And what I think is pretty awful, by the way, is that a lot of people took this as an opportunity to just loot and steal and just create chaos. There's a lot of shock groups out there, like people trying to take the commotion of everything that's happening to advance their ideals, like Antifa, or like people from the alt-right, people from whichever other communities online that are very, very questionable, right? So so we're just in a complete state of chaos right now, and again, as I mentioned, I think that we're just about to enter a very complicated time. So I think that this is the right moment, however, because when something crashes, when something just comes down like this, that's when everybody's egos is completely undone. Maybe we were trying to create a society which wasn't really wholesome. Maybe we were trying to keep a lifestyle going which wasn't really adequate. So maybe this is the right time to actually have a bit of dialogue with each other, to actually sit down and consider things, and to actually try to rekindle, you know, what people are supposed to be to each other. But again, there's so many currents of thought right now where most people are just hell bent on seeing themselves individually. They don't want anything to do with you unless you are of advantage in some way, unless if you are of, or if you reflect themselves in some way. Um, Everybody's too self-conceited these days. If somebody is similar to you, literally in terms of race or in terms of ideology or beliefs or whatever else, or position in life or economical position or anything else, so if they are equal to you, if they're similar to you, then they have your favor, and vice versa. If they're not, most people just don't want to have to do anything with people that are different to them. But I think that this is a terrible idea. This is a terrible idea, and we should be open. I mean, what I'm trying to get at with this is that otherness is not something that's very common for the postmodern individual. Everybody's just trying to think of everything in terms of the self. And I think that that's just not natural, because we're not designed to live in pods. We're not designed to live just thinking of ourselves. At some moment, we need to foster a sense of community and to work together to achieve great things and all that. And instead of that, what modern life has provided us is just little abstracted emulations of that. And I think that is getting psychologically to people right now. So I urge everyone to, to be a little bit mindful, and to maybe, sit down and consider everything that's going on in the world. Sit down and consider how things are transpiring, and just try to be good with people right now. Do you hear that right now? People are clapping in honor of the health workers that that are standing against COVID right now. So that's happened every day since the outbreak started. Every day at 8. So it is 8 p.m. right now. So I hope that at least this video is entertaining in some way or insightful. And again, that maybe it urges everyone to think a little bit about where things are going. I am more than convinced that if we stick together, we're gonna pull through this, and we're gonna pull through any situation of violence possible. We're gonna pull through any challenge that we may be presented with. But it's gonna take a lot of dedication. It's gonna take a lot of pulling through, and again, of actually not being self-conceited, So, wherever you are, I hope that you're staying safe. I hope that you're doing okay, and hopefully, or fortunately, things seem to be getting a little bit better in terms of the pandemic right now. So, I think that we may be listening to a little bit of change in very soon. So, stay safe, everyone.